He was sure he had found the perfect woman just until he saw her humiliating her own maid. What seemed like mere arrogance was actually hiding a dark plan that would put everything he had at risk. Ethan Carter stood near the balcony of his glass-walled home in Los Angeles, holding a glass of red wine that he hadn't even tasted yet. He wasn't a drinker. Not really, but tonight felt special. He had just turned 41 last week, and everything in his life finally seemed to be falling into place. The startup he'd poured his 20s into had turned into a gold mine in his 30s. Now he had money, security, and a woman he believed he'd spend the rest of his life with, Vanessa. She was stunning, charming, and somehow still made him feel like a teenager even though she was 11 years younger than him. The house was glowing. Warm light poured across polished floors and sleek furniture. A private chef was cleaning up in the kitchen. Music played low from hidden speakers. Their engagement dinner had just wrapped up an hour ago. Close friends had come, shared laughs, raised their glasses, and toasted to love. Ethan had watched Vanessa move through the room, smiling and graceful, the kind of woman people stopped to stare at. She knew exactly what to say, when to laugh, how to make each guest feel like the most important person in the room. He felt lucky, genuinely lucky, and proud. Lily, the maid, was still cleaning up after everyone. Ethan noticed her pass quietly behind the couch, balancing a tray of half-finished cocktails, trying not to let anything spill. She was 34, soft-spoken, respectful, always kept to herself. She wasn't one of those people who needed to be seen. She did her job, did it well, and disappeared into the background. Ethan appreciated that. He had hired her 2 years ago through a referral, and she'd never given him a single reason to regret it. After most of the guests left and the house began to settle into that post-party silence, Ethan went upstairs to change out of his blazer. He wasn't tired, just wanted to get more comfortable. From the hallway above the main living room, he could still hear Vanessa laughing on a call downstairs. Something about her tone caught his ear. It was louder than usual, more careless. He assumed she was talking to her sister maybe, or one of her high-energy friends. He didn't think much of it. He grabbed a clean t-shirt from the closet and headed down again. He was just going to tell her he was going out back to sit by the fire pit, maybe ask if she wanted to join. But as he reached the bottom of the stairs, he paused. The kitchen lights were still on. Lily was near the island, wiping the counter with a rag, eyes down, quiet. Vanessa stood across from her, arms crossed, wine glass in hand. Her voice was sharp now, not laughing, not pleasant. "No offense, Lily, but do you even own clothes that don't look like you fished them out of a donation bin?" Vanessa said, rolling her eyes. "I mean, it's called personal pride. Look it up." Lily didn't speak. Her face tightened just slightly, but she kept wiping, trying to act like she hadn't heard. She looked like she wanted to disappear. Vanessa wasn't done. "I swear, if I see one more streak on those wine glasses, you're gone. It's not that hard, okay? You're not curing cancer." Ethan didn't move. His feet were planted. His chest felt tight. He had never seen Vanessa like that. She sounded cruel, not annoyed, not just being bossy. This wasn't about dirty glasses. "You act like you're part of the family just because you live here. But let's be clear," Vanessa said, stepping closer, lowering her voice but not hiding the venom in it. "Your staff. Know your place." That was it. Ethan stepped in. "Vanessa." Her head jerked up, startled. She didn't know he'd been standing there. Her face shifted so fast it was like watching a mask drop back into place. She smiled. "Hey babe, I didn't see you. I was just giving Lily a little feedback. You know how she gets when she's tired." Lily turned away, heading toward the pantry without a word. Ethan watched her disappear behind the door. "What was that?" he asked, keeping his voice even. "Why were you talking to her like that?" Vanessa waved a hand like it was nothing. "Ethan, come on. She's not some delicate flower, she works here. I've been trying to help her improve. You don't want sloppy service in your own house, do you?" "That didn't sound like help," he said quietly. Vanessa put her glass down. "Are you seriously taking her side? You know how much I've done for this house. I've taken care of everything for this party. I've made this home beautiful. He interrupted. "No one asked you to humiliate her." She looked at him like he'd just spoken a different language. Then her voice changed, softer, calculated. "I think maybe you're just tired. You always get like this when you've had a long day." She moved closer, resting her hand on his chest. "Let's go sit outside, you and me." But Ethan wasn't looking at her anymore. His eyes were still on the pantry door, the way Lily had walked away without a sound, the way her shoulders had looked, pulled in like she'd been carrying this weight for a long time. He didn't go outside with Vanessa. Instead, he told her he needed a moment alone, said he wanted to call his brother back about something. She looked annoyed but didn't fight it. She went upstairs, muttering something about a facial appointment in the morning. Ethan waited until he heard the bedroom door close before he walked back to the pantry. Lily was standing near the storage shelves, her hands folded in front of her. Her eyes were red, but she hadn't been crying. She looked tired, not physically, just tired in a way that went deep. "I'm sorry about that," Ethan said. She shook her head. "It's fine, Mr. Carter." "It's not fine." She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "It's been like that for a while. You just didn't see it until now." That hit him harder than he expected. He stared at her for a second, unsure what to say. The silence hung between them, uncomfortable and full of things neither of them was ready to speak aloud. "I didn't know," he said. "I know." She started to walk past him but paused as she reached the door. "Sometimes people are really good at hiding who they are," she said, eyes fixed on something behind him, "until they don't have to anymore." Then she left the room, and Ethan stood there, alone, in the stillness of his beautiful kitchen, wondering how much of his life had been built on something that wasn't real. Ethan didn't sleep much that night. He kept turning in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand what he'd seen and what it meant. Vanessa was lying beside him, breathing slow and steady, like nothing had happened at all. But something had. He'd never heard anyone talk like that to someone who worked for them, not in his house, and definitely not from someone he was planning to marry. He got up around 6 and walked barefoot to the kitchen. The sun wasn't even fully up yet, but Lily was already there, unloading the dishwasher like she always did. She didn't flinch when he walked in, but she didn't smile either. She gave him a quiet, "Good morning," and kept working. He hated how awkward it felt. He didn't know how to fix it. "Lily," he said, leaning against the counter, "can we talk for a second?" She paused, then turned to face him. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry about what happened last night. I didn't know things were like that, and I should have noticed sooner." She gave a small nod but said nothing. "She told me it was just a misunderstanding," he added. At that, Lily's eyes moved, just slightly, not rolled, not wide, just tired again. "She always says that when someone calls her out," Lily said calmly. Ethan frowned. "Has this happened before?" Lily looked at him for a long second before replying. "It's been happening. For months. Maybe longer. Why didn't you tell me?" She looked down. "You were happy, and I didn't think you'd believe me." That last part hit harder than he wanted to admit. He opened his mouth to say something, then stopped. She was right. If she'd come to him a month ago and said Vanessa was mistreating her, he probably would have thought she was exaggerating, or maybe just having a bad day. "I believe you now," he said. Lily gave a small, sad smile. "Thanks. That means something." Later that morning, Vanessa came downstairs dressed in a soft beige robe, her hair in a messy bun like she'd just stepped out of a magazine. She walked straight to the espresso machine and barely looked around. Ethan stood near the sink, drinking coffee. Lily was already gone, off to clean the upstairs bathrooms. Vanessa looked over at him with a smile that was too casual. "You okay?" He didn't smile back. "I'm still thinking about last night." She tilted her head. "Ethan, come on. Are we really going to keep talking about this?" "Yeah," he said. "We are." She set her cup down a little too hard. "Okay, fine. You want the truth? I lost my temper." She was moving slow. "She's been getting lazier. I was tired. The night ran long, and I snapped. It wasn't right. I'm sorry." He looked at her. "That wasn't just snapping. That was personal." Vanessa narrowed her eyes. "Why are you acting like she's some fragile little thing? She's not a victim, Ethan. She works here. She gets paid. You treat her like family, and it's honestly weird. Do you not see that?" "I treat her with respect," he said. "That's not weird." Vanessa didn't respond right away. She just picked up her coffee and took a slow sip. Then she said, "Well, I said I was sorry. What else do you want?" He didn't answer. He didn't know what he wanted, really. Just not this. Not this version of her. "I'll talk to her later if it'll make you feel better," she said. "God, you're acting like I burned the house down." A few hours later, Lily was vacuuming the upstairs hallway. Vanessa came up behind her and tapped her on the shoulder. "Can we talk for a sec?" Lily turned off the vacuum and nodded politely. "I just wanted to clear the air," Vanessa said, crossing her arms. "Last night got out of hand. I was tired. The party was stressful. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings." Lily nodded again. "Okay." Vanessa smiled. but it didn't reach her eyes. Good. I mean, we don't want drama in this house, do we? No, Lily said. Vanessa leaned in a little closer, voice low. Just remember who you work for, all right? Lily's face didn't change, but her eyes held steady. I do. They stood there, staring at each other. It wasn't loud, it wasn't angry, but it was tense in a way that made the hallway feel smaller. Then, Vanessa walked away like nothing had happened. That evening, Ethan asked Lily if Vanessa had apologized. Lily looked at him and said yes. Then she went back to folding laundry, but something in the way she said it made Ethan pause. He was starting to realize there were things happening right in front of him that he still didn't see clearly. And now that the picture was changing, he didn't know what to trust anymore. Later that night, Vanessa slid into bed beside him like everything was normal. She kissed his shoulder and said, "Can we just move on from all this? I'm tired of talking about it." He didn't answer. He was looking at the ceiling again, same as the night before. Only now he wasn't just wondering who she was. He was wondering who he'd been, thinking he knew her. He kept hearing Lily's voice in his head. "You were happy, and I didn't think you'd believe me." And he hated how true that felt. For the next few days, Ethan found himself paying attention in a way he hadn't before. It was like someone had peeled back a layer of his life, and now he couldn't stop looking through the cracks. Every movement, every little word exchanged between Vanessa and Lily felt charged. Things that used to seem normal didn't anymore. The energy had changed. Maybe it had always been off, but now he could feel it. He came home early one afternoon from a meeting that got canceled last minute. He didn't announce it, just walked in, quiet. Vanessa was in the living room, talking loudly on the phone. He didn't hear what she said at first, but her voice dropped to a softer tone when she saw him enter. She ended the call quickly. "That was Madison. She's planning some awful bachelorette party ideas." He nodded, pretending not to notice how fast she had shut the phone off. He was too tired to argue, but he caught a glimpse of the caller ID before the screen went dark. It didn't say Madison. Upstairs, Lily was making the guest bed. She didn't notice Ethan standing in the hallway at first. He watched her move with that same quiet focus she always had, smoothing sheets like it was the most important job in the world. When she turned and saw him, she gave a soft smile but looked away quickly. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes, Mr. Carter." "You don't have to call me that," he said. "Ethan is fine." She paused. "Okay." He stepped into the room. "Has she said anything else to you since that night?" Lily hesitated, then said, "No," but he didn't believe her. He could see it in her face. It wasn't just what she said. It was how carefully she stood, like she didn't know where to put herself, like she was always bracing for something. "She said she apologized," Ethan added. "She did, but..." Lily turned back to the bed. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me." She shook her head. "You're about to marry her. That's all that matters." He didn't answer. Not because she was right, but because she wasn't. Not anymore. That night after dinner, Ethan sat in his home office with the door cracked open. Vanessa was in the kitchen pouring herself another glass of wine. He listened. He wasn't trying to spy exactly, but something kept him from stepping out. Her voice floated through the hallway as she spoke to someone on speakerphone. "I swear he's acting weird," she said, then laughed. "No, not like that. He's just different, quieter. I think he's starting to notice things." Ethan's eyes narrowed. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the wall. The conversation ended before he could hear much more. When he came out a few minutes later, she was back on the couch, scrolling through her tablet like nothing had happened. "Hey," she said, looking up at him. "Want to watch something?" "I think I'm just going to head to bed," he replied. "You okay?" "Yeah, just tired." She smiled and nodded, but he could see it. Something behind her eyes. Not worry, not concern, more like calculation. That night he couldn't sleep again, so he got up, went downstairs, and sat in the kitchen in the dark. He didn't turn on the lights. He just sat there at the table, staring into nothing. A while later he heard soft footsteps. It was Lily. She paused when she saw him sitting there. "Sorry," she said quickly. "I was just getting a glass of water." "It's fine," Ethan said. "You can sit if you want." She looked unsure, but eventually walked over and sat down across from him. "Can I ask you something?" he said. She nodded. "Why haven't you quit?" Lily looked surprised. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if she's been treating you like that for this long, why stay?" She looked down at the table, twisting her fingers together. "It's not that simple," she said. "I've got responsibilities. I send money to my mom. I help my sister with rent. And honestly, I needed the job. Ethan watched her for a moment. I would have helped you, he said. I didn't want charity, she said quietly. I just wanted to work, and I didn't want to cause problems. I figured eventually she'd get bored of it or move on. He shook his head. That's not how people like her work. She looked up. No, it's not. There was a pause. A long one. Do you think I'm stupid for staying? She asked suddenly. He shook his head again. No, I think you're stronger than I realized. For the first time in days, she smiled. Not a big one, just enough to show he'd said something that landed the right way. I don't think she loves me, he said, surprising even himself with the words. Lily blinked. Then why are you still marrying her? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, because I don't know who I am without this life, without her, without the picture of it all. She didn't say anything to that, just sat quietly with him in the dark. Two people who had both stopped pretending for once. The next morning, Vanessa acted like nothing had changed. She kissed Ethan on the cheek, showed him photos of wedding venues she didn't seem excited about last week, and started talking about guest lists again. But Ethan didn't really hear her. He was watching her closely now, watching the way she looked at Lily when she passed through the room, the way she tightened her jaw when Ethan offered to help Lily with the boxes she was carrying, the way she changed the subject whenever Lily's name came up. Later that day, Vanessa walked into his office and shut the door behind her. We need to talk, she said, sitting on the edge of his desk. About what? Lily. He felt something tighten in his chest. What about her? She's getting in your head, Vanessa said. You've been acting different ever since that night. I'm not dumb. I see the way you're starting to look at her, like she's some saint and I'm the bad guy. I didn't say that. You don't have to, Vanessa said. I can feel it, and I think she knows exactly what she's doing. Ethan raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? She plays this whole quiet, innocent act, she said, folding her arms. But trust me, I've seen her type. She wants something, and you're the prize. He stared at her. You really think she's trying to manipulate me? Vanessa didn't flinch. I know it. He didn't argue, but something about the way she said it didn't sit right. Not because it was loud or dramatic, but because of how calm it was. Like she'd already decided who Lily was, and nothing was going to change her mind. That night, Ethan didn't talk much at dinner. Vanessa filled the space with talk about floral arrangements and honeymoon destinations. Lily served quietly, barely speaking unless spoken to. But later, when the house went still and dark again, Ethan found himself staring at the ceiling for the third night in a row. There were questions growing in his mind now, not just about Vanessa, but about Lily, about everything he'd been too blind to see for too long, and for the first time in a long time, he wasn't sure who to trust, not even himself. It was a Thursday afternoon when Ethan noticed something strange. He came home early again, this time because he didn't feel like pretending to smile through another investor lunch. He walked into the house expecting to hear the usual soft clatter of dishes being cleaned or laundry machines humming in the background. Instead, it was quiet. He called out, got no answer, then walked upstairs. As he reached the second floor, he caught a glimpse of Lily coming out of the guest room carrying a folded blanket. She froze when she saw him. Hey, Ethan said. Hi, Mr. Carter. He nodded toward the room. Everything okay in there? Yeah, she said too fast. Just organizing some linen. Ethan stepped past her and looked into the guest room. The bed was perfectly made, but there was a half-full bottle of water on the nightstand, a phone charger plugged in, and a pair of slippers tucked neatly near the edge of the dresser. None of those things belonged to the usual setup. Are you staying in here? He asked. Lily's face changed just slightly, like she was trying to decide how much of the truth to tell. There was a plumbing leak in my bathroom, she said. It's just temporary. Ethan frowned. What kind of leak? In the sink. It's dripping under the cabinet. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I was going to call a plumber after the weekend. Why didn't you just tell me? She shrugged. You've had a lot going on. I didn't think it was important. That didn't sit right with him. Lily had never hidden anything like that before. She always kept the house in perfect shape. The idea of her ignoring a leak seemed off, especially since she'd just cleaned that bathroom 2 days ago and hadn't said a word. After she left the hallway, Ethan went downstairs, grabbed a flashlight from the drawer, and quietly made his way to the staff quarters where Lily normally stayed. He opened the bathroom cabinet, bone dry, not even a drip. He stood there for a long time, crouched in front of the sink, feeling the strange weight of another lie. Not a big one maybe, but a lie all the same. And now he had questions again. Why was Lily sleeping in the guest room if nothing was wrong with her own space? That night, he didn't bring it up. He just watched. Vanessa talked more than usual at dinner, going on about how she wanted to redo the back patio, maybe get a hot tub installed. Ethan listened, but didn't say much. When Lily came into the room to clear the plates, Vanessa didn't even look at her. She just kept talking like Lily didn't exist. But Ethan noticed something else. Lily flinched slightly when Vanessa brushed past her, like she was bracing for something. Later that evening, after Vanessa went up to take a long bath, Ethan found Lily wiping down the kitchen counters. She was quiet, careful. "Lily," he said, "can we talk?" She froze for a second, then nodded slowly. He walked over to the other side of the island and leaned his hands on the counter. "I checked your bathroom." Her eyes dropped to the rag in her hand. "There's nothing leaking." She didn't say anything. "Why are you sleeping in the guest room?" She looked up, her voice low. "It's just temporary." He shook his head. "Don't do that. Not with me." There was a pause. Then she said, "I needed space." "From who?" "You know." Ethan didn't speak. He just waited. "I didn't feel safe in there anymore," Lily finally admitted. "Not after the way she's been acting." "What happened?" Lily hesitated like she was still deciding whether to tell him. "She came down there one night after you'd fallen asleep." Ethan stood up straighter. "What?" "She knocked on the door like she was being friendly. I opened it because I didn't think she'd do anything, but she did." "Did what?" "She walked right in, told me I needed to learn boundaries, said I was getting too comfortable. Then she stood in front of me for a long time and said, if I ever said one more word about her to you, she'd make sure I never worked again. Anywhere." Ethan felt his stomach turn. "She threatened you?" Lily nodded. "It wasn't loud, she didn't yell, but it was a threat." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to make things worse." "Lily, that's not okay." "I know." Ethan rubbed his hands over his face. "And now you're hiding in the guest room." "I just want to finish my contract and go," she said. "I wasn't planning to stay much longer anyway." He looked at her. "What contract?" She paused again, then said, "Nothing. I just mean, I've been here a long time. I think it's time to move on." Something was off. She wasn't just scared, she was holding something back. But Ethan didn't push. Not yet. That night, he couldn't stop replaying it. The visit in the middle of the night. The quiet threat. The sudden move to the guest room. The lie about the sink. It was all stacking up. He watched Vanessa more carefully over the next few days. She acted normal around him, still affectionate, still sweet, still planning their future like nothing had changed. But something about it felt fake now, like watching someone put on a show just for him. And she never mentioned Lily, not once, not a joke, not a complaint, nothing, as if she was pretending Lily didn't exist anymore. But that didn't make it better. That made it worse. One afternoon, Ethan checked the security system on his phone. He had cameras in most rooms for safety, but nothing in the staff quarters. That was by design. He'd wanted to respect privacy. Now he regretted it. He started wondering what he hadn't seen. That evening after dinner, he brought it up gently with Vanessa. "Did something happen with Lily the other night?" Vanessa looked up from her glass of wine. "What do you mean?" "I mean, did you go downstairs and talk to her around midnight?" She narrowed her eyes. "No. Why would I do that?" "Because she moved rooms right after." Vanessa raised her eyebrows. "So now you're asking me if I scared the maid out of her bedroom?" "I'm just trying to figure out what's going on," he said calmly. She leaned back in her chair. "Nothing's going on, Ethan. You're letting her get in your head again." He watched her carefully. The way her tone changed. The way her voice stayed calm but her hands tightened on the wine glass. "Maybe you should think about who's really stirring things up around here," she added. That night, Ethan didn't sleep much. Again, because now it wasn't just about who Vanessa really was. Now it was about who Lily really was too, and why she seemed to be afraid of something more than just cruel words. It started like any normal Saturday morning. Ethan was in the kitchen making eggs, still wearing the same hoodie he'd fallen asleep in. The sun was out, music played low from the speakers, and for a moment, it felt like things might be fine. But that didn't last long. Vanessa walked in holding her phone and laughing. Not the polite kind of laugh she used at dinner parties. This was different. It was louder, more relaxed, too relaxed. The way she sounded when she was talking to someone she knew well, someone who made her feel something. She didn't see Ethan right away. She was barefoot, wearing a tank top and his old sweatpants, and her voice was soft but playful. "Stop," she giggled. You're insane. If anyone heard you, I'd be in trouble." Ethan stood completely still at the stove. She walked to the fridge, still on the call. "No, he's not here. He went out to grab coffee or something. He always takes forever." His chest tightened. He hadn't told her he was staying home that morning. In fact, they hadn't even spoken yet. She just assumed he was gone. Then came the voice from the phone, low and muffled, but Ethan caught it. A man's voice. She laughed again. "Shut up. You wish. You'd never survive one night with me. You'd fall in love in 5 minutes." Ethan turned off the burner without a sound and stepped around the corner. Vanessa jumped when she saw him. The phone dropped from her ear. She scrambled to hit the lock screen. "Oh, hey, you scared me." He didn't smile. "Who were you talking to?" She blinked. "Just Maddie, she's been on one this morning." That didn't sound like Maddie. She laughed it off too fast. She put her boyfriend on for a second. He was making jokes. Nothing serious. Ethan stared at her. She gave a casual shrug. "What?" He shook his head. "Nothing. You just seem different when you don't know I'm in the room." She narrowed her eyes. "Okay, what is this? You've been watching me like I'm a suspect. Should I be?" Her voice sharpened. "Wow. So now I'm guilty of something because I laughed on the phone? I'm asking a simple question." "No, you're not. You're accusing me." She grabbed a water bottle from the counter and walked past him. "Let me know when you're done playing detective." But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling. It wasn't just the laugh. It was her tone, her words, the lie that came too easily. Later that afternoon, he waited until she stepped out for a salon appointment. She was gone before he could even say goodbye. He walked straight to the kitchen, grabbed her iPad, and sat at the table. The devices were linked: phone, tablet, even the MacBook she barely touched. He didn't want to snoop, but he had to know. Something wasn't right. He opened the call log. The most recent call wasn't Maddie. It was someone saved as R, not a full name, just a letter. He opened the text thread. It was locked. She'd added a password. He tried her birthday. Didn't work. His birthday. Nope. Their engagement date. Nothing. That's when it hit him. She was hiding this. On purpose. He stared at the screen for a long time. Then he went to his office, opened his laptop, and logged into the cell phone account under his name. Her line was connected to his. He paid the bill. That meant he had access. He pulled up her call history for the last 30 days. Dozens of calls from a number not saved in her contacts. Long ones, sometimes close to an hour. Always in the late afternoon or after he was asleep. He copied the number and dropped it into a reverse lookup search. Name: Ryan Blake. Ethan didn't know the name. He'd never heard her mention it. But something in his gut told him this wasn't just a friend. He clicked back through the logs and saw the pattern. Almost every day. Texts, calls, sometimes right after arguments with Ethan, sometimes right after dinner, one time right after their engagement photos. He didn't move for a long time. He stared at the screen like it would suddenly explain itself. When Vanessa got back later, her mood was light again. She walked into the kitchen holding a bag of skincare products and a smoothie. "You want anything from Earth Bar?" "No," he said without turning. She gave a weird smile. "Okay, Mr. Grumpy." He stood and walked toward her. "Who's Ryan?" Her face didn't change at first, just a blink. Then she smiled again, this time slower. "What?" "Ryan Blake," he said. "Who is he?" She set the bag down carefully. "Why are you asking me that?" "Because I saw your call log." Her expression froze for half a second, just long enough to give it away. "I work with him," she said smoothly. "He's one of the guys on the event planning team for the wedding." "You never mentioned him. You never asked. You call him every day." "We're planning a huge wedding, Ethan. That's normal." He watched her. She was good, calm, too calm, like she'd practiced this. "I think you're lying to me." She raised an eyebrow. "And I think you're being paranoid." He laughed once. "Right. What do you want me to say? That I cheated on you? Would that make you feel better? You've been looking for a reason to hate me ever since that thing with Lily." "That's not true." She stepped closer. "Isn't it? You've changed, Ethan. You're not the man I said yes to. You walk around with this energy like I'm some villain. And she," her voice tightened, "has been pushing herself into places she doesn't belong. Stop blaming her. Oh, please. Don't be naive." He stared at her, realizing how far things had gone without him even seeing it. "Are you sleeping with him?" he asked. Her mouth opened, but she didn't speak. Not right away. Then finally she said, "No. Too fast. Too flat." "You sure?" he said. She didn't answer. Ethan stepped back. That's what I thought. She crossed her arms. If you don't trust me, then why are we even doing this? He didn't reply. She turned and walked upstairs without another word. That night, they didn't speak. Not a single word. She slept in the main bedroom. He stayed in the guest room Lily had used. He just sat on the edge of the bed staring at the floor, wondering how deep this really went, how much he still didn't know. The next morning, Vanessa left the house early. She didn't say where she was going, just said she'd be out most of the day. Ethan waited 15 minutes, then walked into the bedroom and found her tablet again. This time, he tried one last password, Ryan0715. It unlocked, and what he saw next made his stomach turn. Photos, messages, not just flirting, not just words. Photos of the two of them, Vanessa and Ryan, together, on a boat, in a hotel. One picture of them in Ethan's own backyard while he'd been on a business trip. It wasn't just cheating, it was calculated. And now, he knew for sure, this wasn't just about love, it was about the money, and he had no idea how far they'd already gone. Ethan didn't say a word to Vanessa when she got back that evening. She came through the front door like nothing had happened. Shopping bags in one hand, sunglasses in the other, looking fresh from a spa visit. She smiled and asked if he wanted sushi for dinner. He nodded once, didn't look at her, and said he had a call to finish. Then he walked straight upstairs and shut the door behind him. He couldn't sit with her anymore. Not after what he'd seen. Not after those photos. The fake smiles. The messages that didn't even try to hide what was happening. She called him things she never said to Ethan. Promised things, made plans. And they were all laughing behind his back while he sat at meetings, paid for vacations, built a life he thought they were building together. He paced around the room for almost an hour before finally walking downstairs. Lily was in the laundry room folding towels. She didn't look up when he stepped in. She didn't seem surprised to see him either. I need to talk to you, he said. She gave him a small nod, but her eyes stayed on the towels. I know she's been lying to me. I saw it. I saw the photos. Lily froze. Her hand stopped mid-fold. She still didn't look at him. I know about Ryan, he said. Now she did look up, slowly, like she'd been waiting for this moment but didn't want it to come. Her face didn't show shock, just sadness. A different kind of sadness than before, the kind that comes when something you hoped wouldn't happen finally does. How long have you known? He asked. Her voice came out quiet. A while. How long, Lily? She swallowed. Almost a year. Ethan didn't move. His breath caught for a second. You knew this whole time? She shook her head. Not the whole time. I didn't find out right away. I wasn't looking. But I saw things, heard things. Little pieces, it started to add up. Why didn't you tell me? His voice cracked a little. She blinked fast. Because I didn't know if I could. You were so happy. You were planning a future with her. And I thought, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was just seeing things. But you weren't, he said. She didn't answer. Did she know you knew? I think so, Lily said. I never told her directly. But one day I left a phone on the counter by mistake. It was recording. I was just trying to protect myself. She picked it up and never said anything. But after that, she started watching me. Closely. She'd show up at my door at night. Stare. Say weird things. Remind me who pays my check. Ethan leaned against the doorway. He felt sick. There's something else, Lily said. What? She walked to a shelf near the washer, pulled out a small metal lockbox and brought it over. She handed it to him and took a step back. I've been keeping this in case something happened to me, she said. Ethan opened it slowly. Inside were a few flash drives, a notepad with dates and times, and a phone. Older, cracked, but charged. There are recordings, she said quietly. Texts, screenshots. I copied anything I could, just in case. Ethan stared at the contents like they were pieces of a bomb someone had disarmed. This was more than proof. It was protection. She'd been living in fear, right under his roof, while he slept upstairs thinking everything was fine. I didn't want to use it, Lily added. I didn't want to destroy anything. I just wanted it to stop. Why did you stay? He asked again, his voice lower now. She looked down at her hands. I didn't have anywhere else to go, and part of me thought, maybe you'd see it. Eventually, Ethan sat on the edge of the washer, holding the box in his lap. He couldn't look at her. I feel like an idiot, he said. You're not. I trusted her with everything. I let her into my life, my business, my home. She's good at pretending, Lily said. So are you, he said without thinking. Lily looked up. I mean, You've been hiding all of this. And you were still smiling, still showing up, still doing your job like nothing was wrong. Her eyes glassed over. It wasn't strength. It was survival. Ethan nodded slowly. Then she sat down on a low stool beside the sink like she finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Her shoulders sank, her hands trembled, and her breath came out sharp. "I'm tired," she said. "I'm so tired of being scared in this house." Ethan didn't know what to do. He wanted to comfort her, but it felt too late. He had failed her, failed himself, failed to see the truth that had been sitting in front of him for months. She wiped her face, not crying exactly, but shaking. "She told me if I said anything, she'd ruin me," Lily whispered. "That people like me don't get believed." Ethan looked at her. "She said I was nothing, and that you'd never pick me over her." "I should've," he said. "I'm sorry." For a moment, there was nothing but the sound of the laundry spinning behind them. "I need you to help me," he said. "I don't know what to do, but I want to stop this before it goes any further." She nodded. "We'll look through everything," she said. Together. That night, Ethan didn't go to bed. He sat in his office with Lily, going through flash drives and recordings, hearing Vanessa's voice on tape, laughing with Ryan, talking about Ethan like he was an idiot, planning things, laughing harder when they talked about how much money they could take. "She thinks you'll never fight back," Lily said. "She's wrong," Ethan said. Vanessa came down once, around midnight, asking if he was coming to bed. He told her he was working late. She didn't see Lily in the office tucked behind the door. She didn't know what he knew yet, but she would. Soon, because this was the last night she'd get to pretend. Ethan didn't say much over the next 2 days. He acted calm, steady, like nothing had changed. But inside something had cracked open. The kind of crack that doesn't make a sound but just keeps spreading. He didn't argue with Vanessa. He didn't ask questions. He didn't even mention Ryan. That part was important. He had to wait. He had to see what she'd do when she thought she was still in control. But she knew something was off. She watched him more closely now. If he was quiet for too long, she asked what was wrong. If he took a call outside, she followed him with her eyes. If he spent too long in the office, she found an excuse to come in. The charm hadn't faded. It just felt sharper now, like a tool she was using instead of a natural part of her. Lily stayed out of the way. She kept busy cleaning rooms that were already spotless. She spoke only when spoken to. The soft rhythm of her work used to blend into the background of the house. Now it was like the only honest sound left. Then it happened. A lazy Sunday morning. Ethan was sitting in the sunroom reading emails. Vanessa was upstairs getting dressed for brunch with a friend, or at least that's what she said. She had curled her hair and spritzed her perfume like she was trying to impress someone new, not the same friend she always saw. Lily was polishing the side table near the entryway. Ethan heard the sound before he saw anything. A crash. Not just something falling, something shattering. He jumped up and walked fast toward the living room. When he turned the corner, his heart dropped. The vase. It wasn't just any vase. It had belonged to Ethan's mother. She'd given it to him the year before she passed. Delicate cream-colored porcelain with tiny blue flowers. It sat in a glass display case in the corner, untouched for years. Nobody ever moved it. Nobody even dusted it without gloves. Now it was on the floor in pieces. Big chunks, small shards, a mess that couldn't be undone. Vanessa was already there, standing stiff with one hand over her mouth. Lily stood a few feet back, eyes wide, frozen. "What happened?" Ethan asked, his voice tight. Vanessa turned to him quickly like she'd been waiting for him. "It was Lily," she said. "She bumped into the case while vacuuming. It just fell." Lily didn't speak. Ethan looked at her. "Is that true?" Lily opened her mouth, then closed it. Her hands were shaking. "I told her to be careful in that room," Vanessa said. "But she insisted on cleaning behind everything. I think she was trying to impress you." Lily looked down. "I didn't touch the case." Vanessa narrowed her eyes. "You were in here alone. Who else would have done it?" "I didn't go near the vase," Lily said. "I didn't even vacuum this room yet." Vanessa laughed, but it was sharp. "So it broke itself?" "I don't know how it fell," Lily said. "You're unbelievable," Vanessa snapped. "You're standing there lying to his face when it's literally in pieces right next to you." Ethan took a slow breath and knelt down to look at the glass cabinet. The latch on the front door was unhooked. He looked up at Vanessa. "You opened it?" he asked. She blinked. "What?" He pointed. "The latch is undone." She looked down fast. I was going to move the vase for a second." I wanted to put something under it so the base wouldn't scratch the wood, but I didn't break it. You said she did. I thought she did. You just blamed her. Instantly, Vanessa's face hardened. Because I saw her walking through here with the vacuum. Ethan stood up. So you opened the case, left it unlatched, and when the vase fell you decided it was easier to point at her. You're twisting it. No, I'm not. Vanessa's voice went quiet but tense. You're seriously taking her word over mine again? Ethan didn't answer. She works for us, Ethan. She's not some angel. You think she's innocent? Wake up. He looked at Lily. She hadn't moved. Her eyes were still locked on the broken porcelain like it was her fault, even though it wasn't. Even though they both knew it wasn't. She doesn't lie to me, he said quietly. Vanessa stepped back. Wow, I can't believe this. I saw the pictures. That stopped her cold. What? I saw the pictures, he said again louder. You and Ryan, in my house, in my bed, at my cabin. I saw everything. Vanessa's face dropped like she'd been slapped. I saw the texts. I heard the recordings. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Lily finally moved, taking a step back like she didn't want to be in the room anymore. Ethan turned to her. You can go. It's okay. Lily nodded once and slipped out without a sound. Now it was just Ethan and Vanessa. You went through my stuff, she said finally, her voice shaking. I paid for it. I own it, all of it. Her expression changed. The anger didn't explode. It just slowly took over. So what now? You're going to play the victim? You're going to cry about being cheated on while you sit there siding with the help? Don't do that. Don't do what? Tell the truth? She's not who you think she is. No, he said. You're not who I thought you were. She crossed her arms. So what? You want me to leave? That's it? I haven't decided. You're unbelievable. No, he said. I just finally believe you're exactly who she said you were. Vanessa grabbed her purse off the couch. I'm going out. Where? He asked. She didn't answer. She stormed out and slammed the front door behind her. Ethan stood in the middle of the broken vase, surrounded by pieces of something he couldn't glue back together. Not the porcelain, not the relationship, not the illusion. He knelt again, picked up one of the bigger pieces and stared at the tiny blue flower in the center. His mom had loved that vase. She'd told him once, if it ever breaks, don't try to fix it. You'll just cut yourself. He remembered laughing when she said it. He didn't get it at the time. Now he did. Ethan didn't even go to bed that night. After Vanessa stormed out, the house felt too loud even though it was completely quiet. He sat on the couch for a long time just staring at the pieces of the broken vase that were still scattered across the living room floor. He should have cleaned it up. Should have done something. But he didn't move. It wasn't about the vase anymore. It wasn't even about the cheating anymore. It was about how far back this went. How much of it had been fake from the beginning. He thought about everything that led up to this. Their first date. How quickly they got serious. How fast she moved into the house. How she seemed to know exactly what to say to get close to him. How she'd made herself a part of his life in a way that felt smooth, natural, like it was meant to be. But now he was starting to wonder if it had all been designed that way. The next morning, Ethan called his assistant, Terry, and asked her to hold all meetings for the week. No questions, just clear his schedule. Then he went upstairs, opened his laptop, and started typing. Vanessa Reed background check. It wasn't easy. The usual searches didn't show much. A few social media profiles, a fake-looking LinkedIn. Her Instagram was spotless, filled with curated posts, expensive dinners, sunsets, spa selfies. Not one tag of Ryan, not one trace of the real her. He kept digging. He searched her name with different cities. Boston, Austin, Miami. Every place she'd ever mentioned living before she moved to LA, still nothing. Until he searched. Vanessa Reed, Florida. That pulled up something weird. An old blog. It wasn't hers. It belonged to a woman named Chelsea Marks. It hadn't been updated in years, but the older posts were still there. Buried in one entry from 5 years ago was a photo. A party. Dim lights, pool in the background, and right there in the corner, unmistakable, was Vanessa. Except the caption didn't say Vanessa. It said, Rachel and her latest catch. The crypto guy with the gold watch. She moves fast, LOL. Ethan zoomed in on the photo. It was her, no doubt. But the name wasn't Vanessa. Rachel. And she looked exactly the same. Same hair. Same smile. Same way of resting her hand on the guy's chest like she owned the moment. His blood ran cold. He searched, Rachel plus crypto guy Florida. Then narrowed the date to the same year. It didn't take long. He found an article. Florida entrepreneur files for bankruptcy after short-lived romance leads to scandal. He clicked it. The man's name was Caleb Dunn, 44, owned a cryptocurrency business, had a whirlwind romance with a woman named Rachel West. They were engaged after 3 months. She disappeared 2 weeks before the wedding, took with her $60,000 in gifted jewelry, and had access to one of his business accounts. No criminal charges were filed. Caleb refused to press them, said he was too embarrassed to pursue it. Ethan stared at the screen. She'd done this before. Different name, different city, same pattern. He leaned back, stunned. It had all been a setup, from the very beginning. She didn't just cheat, she hunted, and he was next on the list. Ethan stood and walked straight to the kitchen where Lily was wiping down the counters. "I need to show you something," he said. She followed him to the office, and he showed her the article, the photo, the name. "That's her," Lily said without blinking. "She used a different name," Ethan said. "Rachel West. She's good at erasing things. I tried looking into her before. Nothing came up." He sat back down, still holding onto the sides of the desk like the ground might shift under him. "She's done this before," he said again, mostly to himself. Lily watched him. "How much does she have access to right now?" "A lot," Ethan said. "Business accounts, personal. I trusted her, gave her passwords for travel stuff, credit cards, even had her name added to a few documents for convenience. You need to lock it all down." "I know." Lily didn't say anything for a minute. Then she asked, "What are you going to do?" He didn't answer right away. Then finally, "I don't know." Later that afternoon, Ethan called a private investigator, a guy named Mark Fellows, someone his brother had used during a business lawsuit a few years back. Mark didn't ask many questions. Ethan just said, "I need everything you can find on a woman named Vanessa Reed, also known as Rachel West. I think I'm being set up." Mark said, "Give me a few days." By the next morning, Ethan had locked down every account, changed every password, froze credit cards, called his lawyer to review power of attorney documents Vanessa had asked him to sign 2 months ago. Thank God he never did. Just the idea of it made his stomach twist. That night he got a text from a number he didn't know. "You've been busy." He stared at it. No name, just that line. Then another came in. "Don't think you can outplay me, Ethan." He felt his chest tighten, the kind of fear that comes not from being caught, but from realizing she knows you caught her. He didn't respond. Instead, he turned the phone to Lily, who was standing nearby, reading over some of the older texts Vanessa had exchanged with Ryan. "She's threatening you now," Lily said quietly. "She thinks I'm going to stay quiet. Are you?" He looked her in the eyes. "No." The first threat came in the middle of the night. Ethan had just drifted off on the couch in his office. He couldn't sleep in the master bedroom anymore, not with the ghost of Vanessa in every corner. Her perfume still clung to the pillows. Her shoes still sat under the bench at the end of the bed. The whole room felt fake now, like a set left behind after filming. The sound that woke him wasn't loud, just a soft ding from his phone. He grabbed it with one hand, barely opening his eyes. But the second he read the message, he was fully awake. "Keep digging and I'll bury her too." No name, no number he recognized. His blood went cold. He sat up fast, heart pounding. For a second he thought maybe it was a prank, some spam message. But no, this was personal. This wasn't someone trying to mess with him randomly. This was someone who knew, someone who meant it. He got up and went straight to Lily's room, the guest room, and knocked. She opened the door wearing a long t-shirt and looking half asleep. The second she saw his face, she straightened. "What happened?" Ethan handed her the phone. She read the message, then again. Her face didn't change, but she moved back from the door so he could come in. "Do you think it's from her?" she asked. "Or him, Ryan?" Lily nodded slowly. She said something once, that if I ever turned against her, no one would be able to help me. She said she had someone who could clean things up. I didn't know if she was bluffing or trying to scare me. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed. "I think she meant it." Lily sat beside him, hands clenched. "Do you think they're watching the house?" He didn't answer. Instead, he got up, walked to the security panel near the door, and pulled up the camera footage. He scrolled back through the last few hours. The front door, normal. Driveway, nothing strange. Then he clicked over to the camera at the side gate, and there it was. Someone in a hoodie, standing just outside the range of the light, too far to make out a face, too close for it to be innocent. just standing, watching. Ethan paused the video. "I'm calling the police," Lily said. "No," Ethan said quickly. She looked at him like he was crazy. "They won't do anything," he said. "Not until something happens. A message isn't enough. Then what do we do? Just wait?" "No," he said again. "We play smart. We don't let them know how much we know." Lily's voice was quiet. "What if they come back?" Ethan looked at her. "Then I'll be ready." That next day, Ethan had a full security company come out. He didn't tell Vanessa. She wasn't home anyway. She claimed she was staying with a friend to cool off. He let her think whatever she wanted. The team installed motion sensors on every side of the property, reinforced the windows, added 2 more cameras, one inside the garage, one facing the back alley. They offered to bring in guards, but Ethan said not yet. He didn't want to scare Lily any more than she already was. That afternoon, she barely said a word. She stuck to the upstairs floors, organizing shelves that didn't need organizing. She didn't even touch her lunch. When Ethan asked her if she was okay, she gave him a nod that didn't mean anything. Later that night, she came to the office holding a small piece of paper. "This was under my door," she said. Ethan took it. His name was scrawled on the front in messy writing. Inside it said, "Tell her to shut up or I'll do it for you." He stared at the note for a long time. "Do you think they were in the house?" she whispered. Ethan looked around like the walls might be hiding someone. "No," he said. "I think they had help." Her face went pale. "She's not working alone," Ethan said. "She's never been working alone." That night he checked every door himself, walked the perimeter with a flashlight, watched the street outside for over an hour. Nothing. No car parked too long. No sound in the alley. Just silence. But silence didn't mean safety. He left the office light on and kept the gun from his locked safe tucked into the top drawer of his desk. Around 3 in the morning, another message came in, this time on Lily's phone. "Do you really think he can protect you?" She showed it to him without saying anything. He took her phone and threw it into the kitchen sink. The next morning, Vanessa showed up, unannounced, calm, too calm. She walked into the living room like she still lived there, wearing sunglasses and holding a coffee she didn't even sip. Ethan came down the stairs as she stood by the front window, staring out like it was just another Wednesday. "Nice camera work," she said. He didn't answer. She turned and gave him a small smile. "You've always been good at pretending to be the calm one. Even now, when I know you're boiling inside." Ethan walked past her and opened the door. "You need to leave." "Why?" she said sweetly. "Because you finally figured out the truth?" I said, "Get out." She didn't move. "You don't scare me, Ethan. You've always had a soft spot for the wrong people. First me, now her." He stepped closer. "If you ever go near Lily again," Vanessa tilted her head. "You'll what? Hit me? Threaten me? Please, you're not that guy." "No," he said, "but I know someone who is." Her smile faded just a little. "I've got copies of everything," he said. "Every photo, every recording, every message. You're not getting out of this one." She lowered her voice. "You're bluffing. Try me." They stared at each other for a long moment. Then she laughed. "You really think people are going to believe the maid over me? They won't have to. They'll believe the bank records, the photos, the voice notes, and the fact that you're already being watched." Now her face changed. For the first time, something cracked in her. She turned without another word and walked out, slamming the door behind her. Ethan stood there for a minute, breathing hard, fists clenched. Then he heard Lily's voice behind him. "She's not going to stop," she said. "Even if she's scared. People like her don't quit. They get worse." He nodded. "I know." The day after Vanessa showed up unannounced, Ethan felt something shift. Not in a good way, but in a way that made it clear things were getting darker. She hadn't just been smug or cocky. She'd walked into his house like she still had a piece of it. And maybe she did. Maybe somewhere, in some pocket of her plan, there was a final trick waiting. That thought kept him tense, on edge, like someone waiting for a storm that hasn't quite started yet. He barely slept that night. Lily stayed locked in the guest room, and Ethan sat in his office, going over everything they had already found. But it felt like there was still something missing, a piece they hadn't uncovered yet, something Vanessa hadn't let slip. That's when he remembered her old laptop. She had upgraded to a newer one a few months back, silver, thin, fast, something she insisted she needed for wedding planning and travel. But before that, she used a bulkier one. It had been sitting in the hallway closet, shoved behind a stack of boxes. Ethan had seen her toss it in there after the upgrade, saying it was too slow to bother with. At the time, he didn't think twice. Now it felt like gold. He got up before the sun rose and quietly made his way down the hall. He didn't want to wake Lily, not yet. He opened the closet, dug through the clutter, and there it was. Same scuffed edges, same cracked corner near the power port. He carried it into the office and sat down. When he opened it, the screen flickered like it hadn't been used in ages. The login screen popped up. 2 user profiles, one labeled Vanessa R, and the other labeled Guest. The Guest account was locked down. He clicked on Vanessa's profile. Password required. He tried the obvious ones first. Her birthday, their anniversary, a few pet names she used when they were still pretending to love each other. Nothing worked. Then he tried Rachel West, her old alias. The screen blinked, loaded, and unlocked. His heart skipped. He was in. The desktop was cluttered, folders everywhere like she'd just dumped files into random places and left them there. Wedding plans, travel confirmations, a whole folder labeled Ethan Docs, which made his stomach twist. He opened it. Inside were scanned copies of his driver's license, bank statements, tax returns from 3 years ago, and even a photo of the back of his business debit card. He sat back in the chair. This wasn't love. This wasn't even just betrayal. This was identity theft. This was a setup from the start. He opened another folder called Accounts. It was password protected. He clicked on the file and the prompt asked for a password again. This time he typed Blake 2023. It worked. Inside were spreadsheets, dozens, some labeled with initials, some just with symbols, but one near the top was titled Final Split. He opened it. It was a breakdown of amounts, bank accounts, investment totals, property values, and next to each one were 2 columns, R and V, Ryan and Vanessa. She had mapped out exactly what they were going to take. The numbers weren't guesses. They were real, too accurate to be guesses. She had access to everything. One file caught his eye. It was titled Ethan Trust Backup, and the icon showed it was a document scanned from a printout. He opened it. It was a trust fund account, in his name, but he had never opened it. The document showed a deposit of $150,000 from one of his own business accounts dated 2 months ago, transferred by someone named E. Carter, with his digital signature attached. He had never made that transfer. He had never seen this account. He clicked through and found another document, an authorization letter adding Vanessa Reed as a co-trustee. His heart dropped into his stomach. This was it. She had created a fake account in his name, forged his signature, moved funds into it, and made herself a co-owner. It was disguised to look like an emergency trust, something that might slip through unnoticed during tax season. And if he hadn't found it, she could have drained it the moment he signed over any authority. Ethan leaned forward, hands on his head. She was already stealing from him, quietly, carefully. This wasn't a plan she had come up with overnight. This had been running in the background the whole time, since the beginning. He copied everything onto a new flash drive. Every file, every photo, every spreadsheet. Then he called Mark, the private investigator. Change of plans, Ethan said. She's not just cheating, she's committing fraud. Mark whistled softly on the other end. That makes it easier, actually. People go to jail for fraud. I want to know if there are more of these accounts. Anywhere else she moved money without me noticing. I'll start pulling every string, Mark said. After hanging up, Ethan sat still for a while, staring at the laptop. The silence around him didn't feel calm. It felt fake, like the house was holding its breath, waiting for something to explode. Then he heard a soft knock. Lily peeked in. You okay? He didn't speak. He just turned the screen so she could see it. She stepped into the room slowly, eyes scanning the screen. When she read Final Split, her face changed. She walked around and sat beside him. She really planned it all, Lily whispered. Down to the penny. Ethan nodded. This wasn't a mistake. This was business. I was a job. Lily looked over at him, her voice quiet. What are you going to do now? I'm going to take back what's mine, he said. And then I'm going to make sure she never does this to anyone else again. It was after midnight when Ethan found the second phone. He hadn't been looking for it, not exactly. He was just in the mood to tear things apart. That kind of mood where you're so angry and tired and fed up that you don't even know what to do with your hands. He needed to move, needed to do something. Vanessa hadn't come back to the house in 2 days. No texts, no calls, no knocks on the door. Just silence. But that didn't make Ethan feel safer. It made him nervous. She'd gone quiet before the first time she hit him with a surprise. So he was waiting for another hit. A big one. He went into the walk-in closet off the master bedroom and started going through drawers. Not her main ones. Those had already been picked through weeks ago when he started figuring things out. These were the bottom drawers. The tucked-away ones nobody used anymore. It was in the back of the third drawer, wrapped in a black scarf. A second phone. Smaller, older, no case, no stickers, nothing to make it stand out. Just a clean, hidden backup. His hands were already sweating when he pressed the power button. It lit up, unlocked with facial ID. His heart dropped. It worked. His face unlocked it. She'd registered his face to hide her second phone, not hers, because she knew no one else would ever check it. The screen opened straight into a long string of messages. Not even hidden. No fake names. No code names. Just Ryan Blake right there at the top. The latest message had come in just an hour ago. Ryan, he's too quiet. You think he knows? Vanessa, I don't care if he knows, he can't prove anything. Ryan, you said he looked at you different. Vanessa, he's not stupid, but he's still predictable. Just keep pushing. We're almost there. Ryan, what if he talks to Lily? Vanessa, that girl doesn't have the guts, she's terrified of me. Vanessa, anyway, I've got the other part ready. Ethan scrolled down. The texts kept coming. He saw links, photos, snapshots of his own bank info, screenshots of emails, even a picture of him passed out on the couch, time-stamped, with the caption, "He's been drinking more. Told you it'd work." There were even messages where they joked about making him look unstable. Ryan, you think he'll buy it? Vanessa, doesn't matter. His lawyer will. Once we have the breakdown in place, he won't be able to touch the trust. Vanessa, I already scheduled the therapist session. One visit and I'll tell them he's forgetting things. Confused. Too much stress. Vanessa, early warning signs. That's all it takes. Ethan sat down on the bed, phone still in his hand, knees weak. She was going to fake a mental health breakdown, make it official, get it documented, say he was losing it, that he needed support, maybe even move for power of attorney, use his money to argue that he couldn't handle it himself. It wasn't just stealing anymore. She was about to erase him. He felt sick, not just in the stomach, all over. The rage came in waves, not the loud kind, the still kind. The kind where your whole body goes cold and you don't trust yourself to speak. He closed the phone and held it in both hands, just staring at it. That was when Lily walked in. She was wearing a hoodie and leggings, barefoot, holding a glass of water. Her hair was tied up and her face looked tired in a way that said she hadn't been sleeping either. "You okay?" she asked softly. Ethan looked at her, then held up the phone. "I found her second phone." Her eyes widened. "Where?" "Back of the closet." She used my face to unlock it. Lily walked over slowly and sat beside him on the bed. "What's in it?" He passed it to her. She scrolled. Her fingers slowed when she reached the part about the therapist session. "She was going to fake your breakdown," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "This is planned. All of it. She didn't just get greedy. This was always the plan. She's done it before," Ethan said. "This isn't new." Lily kept reading. Then she handed it back, staring at the floor. "She was going to make you look crazy. Probably get you to sign over something." "She almost did," he said. "A few months ago, she had this packet with her. Said it was legal paperwork for the house in case anything happened during the remodel. I skimmed it, but I got pulled into a call and told her I'd sign it later. She was going to bury you in it," Lily said. Ethan let out a shaky breath. "I almost handed her my entire life." They sat in silence for a few seconds. Then Lily spoke again. "You can't keep this in anymore. You need to go public with it. Police, lawyers, all of it." "I'm not ready." "Why?" "Because if we push now, she'll run, or flip it on me. She's ready for that. She's been building for that." Lily looked at him. "So what do we do?" Ethan stared at the dark window. "We set her up. We give her what she wants. We let her think it's working." Lily blinked. "You're going to fake it?" He nodded. "She thinks I'm cracking? Fine. I'll let her believe that. But while she's watching for weakness, I'll be watching everything else." Lily was quiet for a second. "That's dangerous." "Yeah, but not doing anything is worse." He stood up and walked to the desk, grabbed a flash drive and backed up the entire phone. Then he locked the device in the office safe. Vanessa wanted to take everything from him. His money, his name, his sanity. Fine. Let her think she was winning. Because soon, the real game would begin. The idea came to Ethan just after midnight. He couldn't stop thinking about how close he'd come to losing everything. Not just the money, not just his reputation, but himself. If Vanessa had gotten one more step ahead, if he'd signed the wrong document, gone to the wrong therapy session, or let his guard down for just a little longer, it would have been over. She would have erased him. So that night, while Lily was asleep, Ethan got out of bed, pulled on a hoodie, and quietly went down to the basement storage room. He still had his old tech stuff boxed up from the early startup days. Cords, drives, old routers. But what he was really looking for was a small black box marked Test. Inside were 2 tiny surveillance cameras he used once to monitor a remote warehouse. They were high-res, low-light, motion-triggered, and barely bigger than a thumb. He charged one of them, tested the feed on his laptop, then crept back upstairs. The study. That was where Vanessa liked to make her calls when she thought nobody was listening. It had a view of the pool, a glass desk, and tall bookshelves she never touched. There was a perfect spot to hide the camera, wedged behind the decorative candle on the top shelf, angled downward. From there it could see the whole room. The desk, the door, the chair, even the edge of the hallway if someone stood outside. He set it up, checked the connection, and left it running. Then he waited. The next morning he told Lily he was going to take a break from the stress and would be heading out for a couple of nights. A lie meant to travel. He wanted Vanessa to hear it. She always had a way of knowing things fast, and this time he wanted her to. Sure enough, by the afternoon he got a message. Vanessa, so you're running now? Typical. He didn't reply. He stayed in the house but parked the car a block over and turned off his phone's location. He and Lily set up in the small back room near the laundry area, where the security monitor had a feed from every camera in the house, now including the new one. They waited. Nothing happened the first night. But the second night, around 9:47 p.m., the motion alert pinged. Ethan froze. The study lights flicked on. Vanessa walked in wearing all black, hair tied back, holding her phone to her ear. She wasn't smiling. Her mouth was tight. Her voice didn't sound playful. It sounded low and fast. The camera mic picked it up clearly. I told you. He's out of the house, she said. No, I'm not staying the night. I just needed to grab the files. She walked over to the desk, opened the drawer, and pulled out a folder. Yeah, the trust documents. The original copies. I need to get them signed while he's still confused. She paused. No, he's not asking questions anymore. He's tired. That therapist call helped. I dropped the seed, just like we talked about. He thinks he's burning out. Ethan felt his jaw clench. She laughed then. Quiet. Cruel. I mean, it's kind of sad. You'd think a man with that much money would be harder to play. Then, something changed. She lowered her voice even more and sat down at the desk, flipping open the folder. Her tone shifted. Sharper. Colder. I want him declared mentally unfit before the end of the month. If we don't do it by then, the prenup kicks in, and we're screwed. Ethan's hands curled into fists. She wasn't just cheating. She wasn't just stealing. She was timing the destruction. Like a game, like a business deal. The voice on the other end wasn't clear, but Vanessa's responses gave enough clues. Of course I'm handling Lily. She's nothing. A scared little girl playing housemaid. If she talks, I'll say she's obsessed with him. It won't be hard. You've seen how close she tries to get. She paused, then smiled to herself. Trust me, once we get the accounts cleared and the documents signed, I'm gone. He can cry in his empty mansion all he wants. She stood up, grabbed the folder, and turned toward the door. That's when Ethan hit pause. The feed froze on her face. That face he used to kiss. The one he used to fall asleep next to. Now it looked like a stranger's. No, worse. It looked like a liar who didn't care about anyone she crushed. He turned to Lily, who had been silent the entire time. She was pale, still, like her body had gone numb halfway through the recording. She really thinks you're weak, she said, her voice quiet. She thinks we both are, Ethan replied. He copied the video and backed it up 3 times, to his laptop, to a cloud server, and to a physical USB he wore around his neck under his shirt. Then he sat back in the chair and stared at the wall for a long time. She had shown her cards, everyone, and now she thought she had the upper hand, but he knew something she didn't. He wasn't broken. He was done pretending. The morning after Vanessa got caught on camera, Ethan thought things might finally be in his hands. Not fully, not safely, but enough to start moving. He had her voice, her face, her words. He had video proof of her plotting to have him declared mentally unfit. He had the documents, the fake accounts, the messages with Ryan, the plans to disappear with everything he'd built, all of it. What he didn't have yet, what he hadn't let himself ask, was the why. Why him? Why the effort? He was smart, but not naive. Vanessa wasn't just playing around. This was a setup with layers. And if it had layers, it meant someone somewhere had helped design it. That's how these kinds of things work. Grifters don't go solo for long. Ethan was sitting in the kitchen drinking black coffee that tasted like ash. He hadn't said much since watching the footage. Lily sat across from him, barely touching her toast. The silence wasn't tense, but it was full, like they were both holding something back. Finally, she spoke. "There's something I need to tell you." He looked up. She hesitated. "It's not easy. And I didn't mean to keep it from you. I didn't know how." "Okay." Lily wiped her palms on her jeans. Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. "I knew who she was before she ever moved in." Ethan froze. "What do you mean?" "I recognized her face the day she came to your house for that first dinner. I didn't say anything. I thought it was a mistake, or maybe someone who looked like her, but I was sure after a week. Her name was different, but it was her. I knew it." Ethan felt his heartbeat in his ears. "How?" he asked quietly. Lily looked at the floor. "Because she scammed someone I knew." He waited. "She dated my brother 2 years ago, in Chicago. Used a different name, Emily. Same style, same voice, same way of talking like she already belonged in your life." Ethan leaned back, stunned. "She did the same thing. Rushed the relationship, got into his finances, started planning their future like it was already written. But my brother was different than you. He was broke. He had nothing to steal, just a dream and a small tech idea that barely paid the bills. What happened? She made him believe she could help, said she knew people, said she had experience with startups. He trusted her, gave her access to his work laptop, his bank login, let her handle calls when he got overwhelmed. Within 6 weeks, she drained what little he had saved. She didn't take much money, he didn't have it, but she wrecked his reputation. She sent fake emails to potential investors under his name, told people he was unstable, said he was having episodes. Ethan's jaw clenched. She left when he started asking questions, vanished overnight, deleted everything. He tried to go to the cops, but there was nothing concrete. No paper trail, no charges. She was just gone. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Ethan asked. His voice wasn't angry, but it was tight. Lily finally looked him in the eyes. "Because I didn't think you'd believe me. Not then. You were already in love with her. She was everywhere, in the house, in your meetings, on your arm. You didn't just trust her, you leaned on her. I still would have listened. I wasn't sure." He didn't answer. Lily kept going. "My brother almost ended his life over it. He thought it was his fault. He blamed himself for being too trusting, too desperate, too stupid. But he wasn't stupid. He was just targeted." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "She told him once," Lily added, "that she had a list of people who never saw it coming. She thought it was funny. She called them test dummies. Like they were practice runs for something bigger." He sat in silence, completely still. "She's been doing this for years, Ethan. You're not the first, but you're definitely the biggest." He laughed under his breath. "Great. That's why I stayed," Lily said. Ethan looked at her. "I didn't take this job by accident," she added. "At first I was just looking for steady work, something clean and quiet after everything that happened with my brother. But when I saw her, I couldn't walk away. I couldn't let her do it again, not without at least trying to stop it." "You've been living here with all of this on your shoulders?" Lily nodded. "I watched her lie to you every day. I watched her slowly pull you in, isolate you, twist things. And I kept thinking, if I wait too long, it'll be too late. But if I speak too soon, you'll push me out. I didn't know how to win." Ethan stood up from the table and walked to the window, staring out at the backyard. The same yard where she kissed Ryan in broad daylight. The same yard where he almost proposed again after a fight. The same yard where Lily probably stood, alone, carrying this secret like a boulder on her back. "I'm sorry," Lily said. He turned to face her. "Don't apologize. I didn't want to lie to you. You didn't lie. You just protected me in a way I didn't see." Lily shook her head. "I should have told you the truth. You just did." He walked back to the table and sat down. "I believe you." She looked up surprised. "I believe you," he repeated. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. "I'm not angry," he added. "Just sad. Sad that she fooled both of us. Sad that you had to carry all of this alone." Lily didn't speak. "I wish you had told me sooner," he said. "But I get it." There was a long pause, the kind that wasn't awkward, just full of everything that didn't need words. Then Ethan spoke again. "You said she kept a list?" Lily nodded. "Then let's find it." Ethan didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. Not after what Lily told him. Not after hearing that Vanessa had done this before. Not just once, but maybe over and over, like it was part of who she was, like she was built for it. And not after realizing the guy she'd been cheating with wasn't just some fling. Ryan wasn't just her side piece. He was her partner, her shadow. And there was no way this whole scam, all the planning, the money, the forged papers, the second phone, the staged breakdown, had been pulled off by Vanessa alone. There had to be more. More history, more lies, more people they'd done this to before. At 6 in the morning, Ethan sent a message to Mark, the private investigator. Short and to the point. "I need everything you can dig up on Ryan Blake. Urgent. Leave nothing out." Mark replied within minutes. "I'll get started now." Ethan walked out to the back patio and sat in the same chair where he used to drink wine with Vanessa and talk about their future. The silence felt different now. Not peaceful, just empty. By the time the sun was up, Mark had already sent back his first report. "Your guy's real name is Ryan Davis." Ethan froze. The file attached to the message had his driver's license, 2 past addresses, and a few aliases. Ryan Blake, Matt Blake, R. Dawson. Different cities, different birthdays, slight changes, but always the same face. According to the report, Ryan didn't have much of a job history. No long-term employment, no steady address. But he did have a few interesting connections. Names and photos tied to old lawsuits, dropped charges, closed investigations. And one of those names was Rachel West, Vanessa's old alias. Mark included a photo from 6 years ago. Ryan and Vanessa, standing together outside a courthouse in New Orleans. Both smiling, both wearing sunglasses. She was holding a coffee. He had a backpack over his shoulder, like they'd just walked out of class. But the document beneath the photo said something else. Civil investigation, alleged financial misrepresentation, real estate scam, case closed, no charges. The victim's name, Judith Connors. Ethan read the summary. Judith Connors, age 61, lost over $140,000 after signing fraudulent paperwork during a fake home staging contract. Suspects Rachel West and Ryan Davis disappeared before charges could be filed. No formal arrests. Victim declined to press further after family urged her to let it go. It didn't stop there. 3 more coincidences. Different cities. Same setup. Vanessa shows up with a new name, finds someone wealthy or vulnerable. Ryan appears in the background weeks later. The two of them play the long game, gain access, build trust, and disappear before the fallout starts. Sometimes the victim had money. Sometimes they had influence. But every time they had one thing in common. They were caught off guard, just like Ethan. He scrolled further and found a photo taken by a street cam in Miami. Ryan and Vanessa holding hands outside a car dealership, dated 3 years ago. She had shorter hair then, different style, but it was her, clear as day. The deeper Ethan read, the sicker he felt. They weren't lovers, they were criminals, and they'd been doing it for a long time. He clicked on one final file in the folder, a surveillance shot taken just 2 months ago. Ryan was coming out of a high-end condo building. Ethan recognized it. It was 6 blocks from his office downtown. He hadn't known Ryan was that close. He hadn't known he was right there, hiding in plain sight. Lily walked into the kitchen just as Ethan was closing the laptop. She looked tired, still wearing a sweater she'd slept in, hair tied up messily. "You find anything?" she asked. Ethan nodded once. His real name is Ryan Davis. He's not just some guy she's seeing on the side. She sat down across from him and listened as he laid it all out. The names, the cities, the scams, the photos, every detail. When he was done, she didn't speak for a while. Then she said, "They're not just a couple, they're a business." "That's exactly what they are," Ethan said. Lily's hands tightened around her coffee mug. "They've been getting away with it because the people they hurt feel stupid, embarrassed. Nobody wants to go public about being conned. That's how they keep getting away with it. Not this time." Ethan grabbed the flash drive from his desk drawer, the one with the video from the study, and clipped it to his keychain. "We've got them on tape now. We've got her admitting everything." Lily stared down at the counter. "My brother would want to see this. He should. He deserves to." He's still not okay, she said softly. He hasn't trusted anyone since it happened. Blames himself for falling for it. Ethan sighed. I get that now. He stood up, pacing. She made me feel like I couldn't breathe without her. That's what makes it so dangerous. It wasn't just charm, it was precision. She knew exactly how to twist herself into whatever I needed. She does that to everyone. Ethan turned back to Lily. I want them both taken down. Not just her, him too. They've been doing this for years. We're not going to be just another line on their resume. Lily nodded slowly. So what's the plan? Ethan looked out the window. I want them together, in this house, on camera, talking openly. I want her to feel safe. I want him to walk right in like he owns the place, and then we pull the rug. You want to set them up? I want them to set themselves up. They're already sloppy. They're arrogant. All we need to do is give them the perfect moment to feel like they've already won. Lily looked nervous, but she didn't say no. Instead, she said, then let's do it. Ethan picked up the phone. Time to invite the devil back inside. The plan wasn't complicated, that's what made it risky. If Vanessa had even the slightest suspicion, if Ryan didn't play along, or if either of them sensed something was off, it could all fall apart. Ethan would lose his chance to expose them, but he was done playing careful. He was done being quiet. It was time to let them walk right into it thinking they were winning. He just had to disappear first. Late Tuesday morning, Ethan stood by the front door with a suitcase in his hand. Not packed, just heavy enough to feel real. Lily stood nearby holding a coffee like it was just another normal day. LAX, Terminal 5, he said, louder than usual. I'll be gone 3 days. Should be back by Friday night. Lily nodded. I'll keep everything running while you're gone. Appreciate it. Vanessa wasn't home to hear it, but Ethan knew someone would tell her. That was the point. He climbed into the black SUV and let the driver, someone Mark sent, take him 2 blocks away before circling back. They parked the car in the garage from the back entrance. No one on the street would know he was still there. The house had been prepped earlier that morning. Hidden cameras were already in place. Some in vents, some in light fixtures, one tucked behind the mirror above the fireplace. All were synced to the private feed in Ethan's office, which Lily could monitor from her laptop. Mark had helped route everything through a secure backup system in case the power mysteriously went out. Vanessa wouldn't suspect a thing. She was too sure of herself. They didn't have to wait long. Around 6:15 p.m., the gate bell rang. Ethan and Lily sat in the back room, lights off, eyes fixed on the monitor. There she was, Vanessa, hair up, sunglasses on, phone in her hand, purse slung over one shoulder. She wasn't dressed like she was visiting a fiancé. She was dressed like someone running a job. Confident, clean, focused. Lily leaned forward. She's alone. Not for long, Ethan said. The camera in the foyer showed Vanessa walking in like she still owned the place. She glanced around once, dropped her keys on the table by the door, then made her way into the kitchen. She opened the fridge, took out a bottle of wine, poured herself a glass, and made a call. Ethan muted the audio for a moment and turned to Lily. She's calling him. Lily nodded. The sound came back just in time for them to hear her say, Yeah, the house is empty. He's gone. I watched him leave myself. She laughed into the phone. Come in through the side gate. I'll unlock it now. Then she walked off screen. A minute later, the side gate alert blinked on the monitor. Ryan. He stepped through like he belonged there. His face looked relaxed, a little too smug. He had that same hoodie from the street cam photo Ethan had found, the one from outside the condo. No bags, no gloves. Just casual, like this was his second home. Vanessa opened the door and let him in. Their kiss was quick, familiar. No hesitation. They've done this before, Lily said quietly. Ethan didn't answer. Ryan followed her into the living room, dropped onto the couch and leaned back like he'd just gotten off work. How much longer until you can get him to sign? He asked, voice crystal clear on the mic. Vanessa took a long sip of wine. End of the week, I'll say the lawyer needs it for tax stuff. He won't question it, he's exhausted. Think he suspects anything? Vanessa smiled. If he did, would I be standing here right now? Ryan grinned. They laughed. It made Ethan's skin crawl. Then Ryan got up and started walking around the living room, looking at things. You ever think about what happens after? He asked. Like, after all this is over? Vanessa shrugged. I think about the money. That's about it. Ever think about getting caught? Vanessa looked at him and smiled. Who's gonna catch us? His maid? Lily flinched. She's just background noise. Vanessa continued. Sweet, quiet, invisible. That's what makes her useful. She doesn't ask questions. She seems like the type who'd grow a conscience. She had one, Vanessa said. Then I broke it. Ryan chuckled and grabbed the wine bottle from the counter. They sat together, heads close, whispering for a minute. Then came the part Ethan had been waiting for. Once the trust is cleared and the signature's done, Vanessa said, I want everything wired by Monday. Then I ghost him. No warning, no note, just gone. And if he shows up, he won't, she said. He'll be too busy trying to convince people he's not losing it. Ryan nodded. And Lily? If she talks, I've got messages ready, screenshots. I'll say she was obsessed with Ethan, tried to sleep with him, got fired and turned bitter. Ethan felt Lily stiffen beside him. She's going to ruin me, Lily said, her voice shaking. No, Ethan said. She thinks she is, but we've got everything. They kept watching. Vanessa grabbed her phone and showed Ryan something on the screen. This is the final signature page, she said. I just need to swap the cover sheet to make it look like a different doc. He signs. It's legal. Ryan grinned. And the mental health story? Already in motion. I left some pills in his drawer. Ambien, antidepressants. I'll say I've been worried. It'll sound caring. Like I just wanted to help. Ethan's hands curled into fists. She wasn't just trying to drain his accounts. She was building a version of him that wasn't even real. One that looked weak, unstable, incapable, and she was going to do it with a smile. That was it. He stood up. We've got what we need. Lily looked up, startled. What are you doing? Calling Mark. It's time. Ethan didn't wait. As soon as he saw Vanessa hand Ryan that folder, calm as ever like she was about to sign off on his future, he picked up the phone and dialed Mark. They're here, he said. Both of them. It's happening right now. Mark didn't ask questions. We're outside. Ethan turned to Lily. You stay back, don't come out until I call for you. She looked scared, but she nodded. Ethan moved fast. Out the side hallway, through the garage, and around the back entrance. The house was quiet from the outside, peaceful. If a neighbor had been watching, they wouldn't have noticed anything strange. Just another night in a wealthy neighborhood. But inside, two people were about to realize their entire game was over. Mark met Ethan by the back door, two other plainclothes security guys behind him, cameras strapped to their chests. We're recording everything, Mark said. Good. Ethan reached for the door handle, looked at Mark once, then pushed it open. He stepped inside first. The moment he entered the living room, both Vanessa and Ryan turned. She was mid-laugh, wine glass in hand. Ryan had one foot on the coffee table. It took half a second for their faces to change. Vanessa's smile vanished like someone flipped a switch. Her body went stiff. She stood frozen, the glass still hovering in the air like she hadn't decided whether to sip or throw it. Ryan sat back slowly, mouth slightly open. No one spoke at first. Then Ethan said, Don't move. Ryan let out a small laugh, like maybe this was a joke. What is this? Ethan kept walking. This is the part where you realize you lost. Vanessa finally set the glass down, voice flat. I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're making a mistake. Ethan nodded toward the two security guys who entered behind him. These guys? They're not here to protect me. They're here to document you. Ryan stood up fast. We should go. Mark stepped in front of him. You're not going anywhere. Vanessa turned to Ethan. You're acting insane. You're breaking into your own house, threatening people. You drugged me, Ethan cut in. You forged documents. You built a fake trust in my name, and you were about to file a false mental health claim against me so you could steal everything. She laughed, but it cracked. Prove it. I already did, Ethan said. Every camera in this house is recording. The one in the vent above you? It heard everything. The one behind the fireplace mirror? Got every angle. Her face drained of color. I know about Ryan's real name, Ethan added. Ryan Davis, the scams, Chicago, New Orleans, Miami. I know about the fake names, the money trails, the stage breakups, the vanishing acts. Vanessa's mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. Ethan looked at Ryan. You were sloppy. You stayed too close. You thought nobody was watching. Ryan clenched his jaw. You don't have proof. Mark stepped forward, holding up a tablet playing back the live camera feed. Just 5 minutes earlier. Vanessa's voice played back crystal clear. I want him declared mentally unfit before the end of the month. Ryan's face dropped. Mark turned to Ethan. Want to keep going? Ethan nodded once. Yeah. They walked them to the center of the room. Mark stayed behind Ryan. The other two positioned themselves near the door in case either of them tried to run. "Where's Lily?" Vanessa snapped suddenly. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Worried about her now?" Vanessa's voice sharpened. "She's not what you think she is. She's playing you." "No," Ethan said, stepping closer. "She protected me. Something you'll never understand." "I didn't do anything illegal," Vanessa said, grasping at straws. "This is all just one big misunderstanding. You really think I'm that stupid?" Her mouth twisted. "You were." That hit harder than he expected, but he didn't let it show. "You took pictures of me while I was sleeping. You staged evidence. You forged my signature. You tried to break down someone who trusted you. That's not a misunderstanding, that's a crime." Ryan stepped forward, eyes flashing. "You have no idea who you're messing with." Ethan didn't flinch. "I think I do." Mark calmly lifted the tablet again and started playing another clip. This time it was Vanessa talking about wiring the money out. Then the part where she called Lily a scared little girl playing housemaid. Then her line about disappearing without warning. Ryan rubbed his hands over his face. Vanessa just stood there, her arms crossed tight, jaw clenched so hard her cheek twitched. Lily finally stepped into the room. Vanessa saw her and something shifted. "You really think this makes you better than me?" she said. "You're still the maid." Lily looked her in the eye. "No, I'm the one who stopped you." For the first time, Vanessa looked scared, just for a second. Then she turned back to Ethan. "You loved me." "No," he said. "I loved the lie you told. You don't know the whole story. I know enough." Vanessa looked around the room like maybe someone would rescue her, like maybe there was still a card left to play. But the only sound was the camera beeping, still recording. Mark stepped forward again. "We've got everything. Now, you can either leave calmly and wait for the police to contact you, or we hand this over to the DA first thing in the morning. Either way, your faces are going to be on every screen that matters by the end of the week." Ryan didn't move. Vanessa didn't either. Then slowly, without a word, she picked up her purse, walked to the door, and stepped outside. Ryan followed. Nobody said goodbye. No one needed to. The door clicked shut. Ethan stood in the middle of the room, chest heaving, staring at the space they'd just left behind. Lily walked over, silent. He didn't say anything. He just reached out and took her hand. She held it, tight, like it meant something, like it mattered now more than ever. It happened less than 24 hours after she left. Ethan was in the office, sitting at his desk, hands on the keyboard, but not really working. Lily was in the kitchen, trying to keep the house from feeling like a crime scene. They both knew it wasn't over. The cameras caught Vanessa and Ryan in the act. They'd walked out without a fight, but it never sat right with him. Vanessa didn't give up like that. That wasn't her style. She played control like a piano, and when she lost it, she snapped. Around 6:30 p.m., Ethan heard the doorbell. He checked the monitor. Vanessa, alone, no sunglasses, no smile, no wine in her hand this time, just her face, plain, cold. He stood up, walked slowly to the front door, and opened it. She stepped in without waiting to be invited. "We're not done," she said. Ethan didn't flinch. "You are." "No," she snapped. "I'm not going down like this." He shut the door behind her, slow and calm. "You already did." Vanessa turned and stared at him. She looked thinner somehow. Not in body, in presence. Like her confidence had shrunk overnight. "You think those recordings are enough?" she said. "You think a couple of videos and some spreadsheets are going to put me in jail? I think they'll stop you from doing it again." "Really?" she said, stepping closer. "What if I tell them you abused me?" Ethan blinked. "I'll say you hit me, controlled me, that you made me sign things under pressure, that I was scared for my life. You'd lie like that?" he said. She tilted her head. It wouldn't be the first time. Ethan stepped back, jaw tight. "You're digging your own grave." Vanessa smiled for a second, but her eyes stayed dead. "I'm used to getting out of holes." They stared at each other. Then Lily walked in from the hallway. She stopped when she saw Vanessa. "Oh, look," Vanessa said, voice turning sharp. "There's the little hero." Lily said nothing. Vanessa walked toward her slowly. "You really think this makes you the better woman? He'll toss you aside in a year, maybe less. Men like him always go back to the power. You're just a break in his pattern." "Leave," Lily said softly. "Oh no," Vanessa said. "Not yet." She took a step closer. Ethan moved fast, put himself between them. "You don't get to touch her," he said. Vanessa looked up at him, fury in her eyes. "You really think she gives a damn about you?" "I know she does." Vanessa laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even real. just noise trying to cover the fact that she was losing. "You're pathetic," she whispered. "A weak little man who let a maid into his head." Ethan didn't move. "I'd rather be weak than cruel." That's when she snapped. She reached back and slapped him. Hard. The sound cracked through the house like a whip. Ethan's face turned slightly from the force, but he didn't raise a hand. He just stood there, eyes locked on hers. "You done?" he asked. Vanessa was shaking, hands clenched, eyes wild. "You ruined me," she hissed. "I was going to disappear quietly. But now?" She reached into her purse and pulled out a thick white envelope, slammed it down on the table. "I already filed a claim," she said. "You're about to be investigated for financial misconduct. I told them you used me to hide illegal money transfers. I told them you had offshore accounts." Ethan didn't say a word. "They'll freeze your assets until it's cleared," she said. "Which won't be fast." "Why would you do that?" Lily said, stepping forward. Vanessa turned to her. "Because if I go down, I take him with me. That's how it works." Ethan picked up the envelope slowly, opened it, scanned the first page. She really had filed it. "Enjoy the paperwork," Vanessa said. "You like being smart, right? Let's see how fast you can untangle this mess." He folded the paper, placed it back in the envelope, and calmly handed it to Mark, who had just stepped out of the side hallway with his phone already recording. Vanessa blinked. Mark said, "Thanks for confirming. That's obstruction and fraud on record." Vanessa's jaw dropped. "What? You're not the only one who knows how to record things," Mark said. "This whole house is hot right now. Audio, video, every room." Ethan turned to her. "You played the wrong game with the wrong people." She looked at the camera, then back at Ethan. "You set me up." "You set yourself up," he said. "I just let you." Vanessa stepped back, suddenly realizing she had nowhere left to go. Not legally, not personally, not even emotionally. "You think this fixes what you are?" She spat. "You're still broken, and she'll leave you too." Ethan didn't blink. "Maybe, but she won't steal from me, and she sure as hell won't break me." Vanessa looked at Lily one last time. "You really think he's going to pick you?" she said. Lily answered softly. "He already did." Mark stepped forward. "Time to go." Vanessa stared at Ethan for a long second. Then she turned, walked toward the door, and slammed it behind her hard enough to rattle the glass. Ethan stood still, jaw locked, heart pounding. Lily walked over. They didn't speak. They just stood there in the center of the wreckage, knowing one thing for sure. It was finally over. Or almost. Because some pieces don't fall quiet, they crash. Morning light crept through the windows, soft yet exposing every corner. The house was quiet in a way it hadn't been in months. No hidden calls, no hush behind living room doors, no footsteps that felt like they were being measured. The silence wasn't peaceful exactly. It felt hollow, like a space stripped of pretense and ready to heal, or bleed, depending on the day. Ethan sat at the kitchen table with a cup of black coffee that tasted empty. He'd barely slept after the showdown. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Vanessa's face, icy, calculating, the slap, and the moment Lily showed up behind him, clean, steady, the line that separated what was real from what had been covered up. That image didn't break him. It fueled him. His phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "V has been arrested. Charges for fraud, conspiracy, and attempted elder abuse. Your evidence was rock solid." No exclamation point, just fact. Ethan stared at the screen until the word charge settled into his chest like a weight. He texted back. "Good." The next message buzzed. "Ryan is missing. Likely ran. Possibly out of the country. We're tracking. Update tonight." Ethan exhaled. Not relief, not victory. Just the faint echo of something wrapped up in, okay. The loose ends were still loose. Lily emerged, quiet, in a faded gray sweatshirt. She sat across from him, eyes thoughtful. "Are you going to be okay?" she asked softly. He looked at her. The years he spent chasing a life built on trust. Crashing, rebuilt. Smarter now, but scarred. "I will be," he said. "But not the same. I don't want to be." Lily nodded. "That's okay." The front gate clicked. It wasn't Vanessa. It didn't need to be. It was a police officer, in plain clothes, quietly stepping past with a folder marked evidence. Mark was with him. The house felt sleepy against the tension in their shoulders. By mid-morning, lawyers had been called, paperwork filled out, statements made. Vanessa was officially in police custody again, this time not for some manipulated diagnosis, but for real charges no amount of charm could erase. But the real impact hit Ethan later. When he finally walked into the master bedroom, quiet. He looked at the suitcase still tucked in the corner, the one he'd used as fake for his setup. It blocked out so much more now than just that door. And her perfume. They still hadn't touched that room. He hated how much it lingered. He opened the closet and pulled out a box he'd shoved to the back months ago. The one filled with wedding plans, invitations, love notes. He looked through them slowly. Each one felt heavy. Not because they were lies, but because he'd believed them. She knew that. Tears came for a moment. Not for the idea of her, for the idea of them. For the thing that used to be his happiness. And for how fragile that can be when someone else gets to write the script. He almost threw the box away. Instead, he shut it and placed it back gently. Not for nostalgia. For closure. The past is part of a story, but it doesn't have to be your future. Back downstairs, Lily was folding laundry in the guest room. His old room, now hers. They'd talked last night about the future. She'd been part of it, not as help, not as background, but as someone real. Someone he could trust. He walked in with 2 mugs of coffee. "You keep stealing the best mugs," she said quietly. He laughed softly. "Want to take a break?" he asked. She nodded. They headed outside. Sun bright, air crisp. They didn't talk much. Just sat in silence, side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Quiet, not because they had nothing to say, but because every word felt like it needed more space to grow into honesty. Later, a notification popped up on Ethan's phone. "Legal filings for asset recovery have been submitted. Temporary freeze on all suspicious accounts." He glanced over at Lily. She gave a small nod of relief. He watched the bird land on the fence outside. The bird looked cautious, alert. He felt like that. Watchful, hopeful, and ready to rebuild in slow motion. Lily turned to him. "What now?" Ethan smiled, small and real. "Now, we clean. We rebuild. We remember how to live here again. No secrets. No lies." Lily smiled back soft. "I'll help," she said. He looked at her. "I know." They stayed quiet a while longer, letting the light settle on them. The storm had passed, but the aftermath, this was the quieter part. The part where the world doesn't know if you're still standing until one morning you choose not to collapse. And there they were, standing, not undone, not over everything, but moving towards something that felt real again. The days after everything felt different, not rushed but slow, the kind of slow that doesn't come with joy but with space. Space to breathe, to think, to rebuild. Mornings were the hardest. The alarm would go off at the same time it always had, but it was never the start to a workday. Instead, it felt like someone opening a window after being stuck in a room for too long. Ethan would sit at the kitchen table, but it wasn't the place for paperwork or plans anymore. He'd reach for his phone, half expecting notifications from Vanessa, court filings, anything. Instead, there was calm, quiet, the hum of the refrigerator, Lily's mug sliding on the tile as she poured coffee for both of them, like a small, shared ritual that grounded the day. Lily had taken over the study. Her laptop was there now, tennis shoes kicked off nearby, and a little succulent plant on the edge of the desk. It wasn't about cleaning the mess anymore, but making this house livable again. Not for what it used to be, but for what it could be. Ethan watched her one morning as she organized paperwork. Not for court, but for something different. A budget, a donation list, a small savings plan. She glanced at him, raised her mug, and said, "We're doing okay." He nodded, tears welling without shame. He started sleeping in his bedroom again. It smelled a little like vanilla. From those scented candles he had lit that first night he slept out on the couch, not wanting to be near her side of the bed. Now, he left the window cracked open. The air felt like a promise. He found himself cleaning up more than usual, not to erase her, but to invite peace. He dusted shelves Jewish style, dusted wedding albums he'd packed away, and put them in a safe box. The box wasn't locked. It was for keeping what hurt in a place that needed a beginning and an end. He began going through mail, bills, invitations for dinners, a letter from his brother. It said, "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Call me when you want to talk." He called that afternoon. They didn't speak long. They didn't need to. Sometimes healing is hearing a voice that says, "I'm still here." Lily started bringing in music in the evenings. Nothing fancy. Just songs they both liked. Old blues playing softly while she cooked pasta and he chopped vegetables. They worked side by side, comfortable in silence or in half-spoken thoughts about nothing important. One afternoon, a neighbor stopped by. Didn't know what had happened, but came with cookies and that old phrase, "You have to look after each other now." They shared eye contact, a look that said, "We're not invisible. We're seen now." The house felt lighter, not because the weight was gone, but because it shifted. It became a place of safety again. One day, Ethan found Lily standing at the edge of the pool, arms crossed, watching the water ripple. He stood behind her. "What are you thinking?" he asked. She didn't turn around. "Just, this is normal now, not wrecked." He sat down beside her. "That's good. I was scared for so long," she said quietly. "Every day felt like walking on glass." He put his hand gently on her shoulder. "We're past that. The truth is, healing doesn't happen in leaps. It happens each time you choose to wake up, to stay, to trust again." They planted flowers that day, 2 small pots of bluebells on the front porch, a reminder that things grow again, quietly, even after storms. The house stopped feeling like a crime scene. It became a home. And the biggest sign? One evening, Ethan brought out an old instrument, a guitar he hadn't played since their engagement party. He strummed a simple chord, rusty but real. Lily looked up from writing in her notebook. She stayed beside him and whispered, "Play something." He did. Just a few notes. Nothing perfect, but perfectly enough. When the chord faded, he looked at her and said, "Thank you." And she said, "Thank you for letting me stay." They didn't hug, didn't need to. They just sat there as the dusk settled, notes hanging in the air, knowing they were healing. Not fixed because nobody ever is, but healing enough to keep going. It was a weekend afternoon when Ethan found himself in the living room, sitting cross-legged on the floor, headphones on, listening to an old recording of jazz. Something zeroed in, smoky, comforting. The house felt ordinary again, the kind of normal you don't take for granted. Lily had just gone out to run errands. She was reorganizing her old records, something she hadn't done since it all collapsed around them. Music was healing her, not loudly but softly, one scratchy vinyl at a time. Ethan finally gave himself permission to exhale. He picked up a framed photo from the shelf. It was of the 2 of them, Lily and him, at the front porch, flowers planted, sun dipping behind them, wide smiles like they'd just claimed their life back. He set the frame down and stared out the window, feeling the afternoon bend into evening. That's when he saw it. A small envelope, neatly placed on the entryway table. No handwriting, just printed words. "For when you're ready." He hesitated. Holding it in his hand felt heavy. He'd already thought he knew everything. Every lie, every secret, every plan they'd plotted and pulled apart. But Lily hadn't said everything. Not yet. And Ethan wasn't sure he was ready for more truth, but he knew he couldn't leave it unopened. He slipped it into his pocket and carried on, music still low. When Lily came back, she found him there, the envelope peeking out from his shirt. "You okay?" she asked softly. He nodded. "I found something." She sat beside him. "I don't know if I should open it." "Do it when you're ready," she said. "But you looked like you wanted to." He gave a small smile. "Yeah." That night, after dinner that smelled like basil and pasta, he took it out. Inside was another smaller envelope. Inside that, just one folded sheet of paper. He unfolded it slowly, like it was something fragile. It read, "Ethan, if you're reading this, you already know everything about her, but I have to tell you the last piece. Because you helped me when no one else believed me. I was supposed to leave after the trials. I had an offer, move across the country, start over. But I stayed because somewhere in your mess, I found me. You gave that back to me. So I want you to have the truth that changed it all. I wasn't just the maid. I was assigned. I worked with someone, an investigator for protection. You were a target, and we had to keep her close until she broke. You were never just a mark. You were the reason I stayed." Ethan blinked. That was it. That final piece. The smallest sentence, but it felt heavy. Truth held in careful handwriting. He looked up at Lily, who was watching him closely. "You know?" he whispered. She nodded. Her eyes glistened. Not tears. Just something like peace. He sat there for a moment, just holding the note, letting it settle. "I hate that I was used," he said quietly. "But I also know I wouldn't have wanted it any other way." She reached out. Hand found his. "You gave me a chance to stand up for someone again," she said. "That note. I couldn't just walk away after that moment. After everything." He squeezed her hand. They didn't speak for a long time. Everything felt full of meaning and relief all at once. Then the door opened, light flickered in, and Mark stepped inside quietly with 2 mugs of coffee. He left them the room. They had enough together now. Truth, trust, and a future that wasn't broken. Ethan looked at Lily again. He stood, moved slowly toward her, and wrapped his arms around her. She hugged him back, firm, unyielding. He said, "It's not perfect now." She smiled against his chest. "No, but it's ours." He breathed it in, and for the first time in months, everything felt real again.